So I'm reacting to a video today that I'm super excited about. It's called Guess the Psychopath. If you know anything about me, then you might know that I do love a little bit of true crime, so this is one that is built for me. I'm going into this reaction completely blind. I've never seen the video before. I don't actually know too much about what it is, so let's just get into it.
Think you can spot the psychopath?
Oh, okay, so it's on Airrack's channel. I watch a lot of Airrack's videos, which is really weird. But this is on his Houseparty channel, which I don't actually think I'm subscribed to, so I'm gonna do that now. What I'm assuming is gonna happen is it's probably like the same layout as a lot of other videos, where there's probably about 8 to 12 people, and one of them, I'm assuming, is going to be diagnosed with something that may assume that they're some kind of psychopath, or what is kind of like referred to more as now as personality disorder, or more of like an antisocial personality disorder, something along those lines. It's not really referred to as you're a direct psychopath. These individuals, even though regardless of what they're diagnosed with, are normal, like you and I, they just are wired a bit differently. So for example, if you have loads of plugs in the back of your brain, some bits are a little bit unplugged, and some of the plugs are in the complete wrong switches, and obviously that's why we get a complete difference in some individuals in the way that they behave. But I mean, not everyone's alike anyway, and we're all a bit mad, so. But I'm assuming that it will be that one of them is a psychopath, and we have to guess which one it is, or they're gonna guess, and as the rounds go on, they're gonna eliminate each person through a series of questions until we try and find out which one's gonna be the psychopath.
Think you can spot the psychopath? To answer that question, I've gathered these 11 people. 10 of them are normal, but one of them is a psychopath.
My name is Eli.
Hey, I'm Jay.
And I'm not.
I am
So
not.
10
And I am not
a
psychopath.
These guys will have 5 rounds to ask each other questions and try to sniff out who's the psychopath.
I think they're still here with us.
Both of them are so unbelievably sus.
I was just curious. Have you lied today?
It's actually really weird because immediately, if I was having to go off their dress sense of who it was that I'd choose out of any of these individuals stood in front of me, there's kind of like a really weird dynamic of mismatch that I'd be looking for. Like either overly clean and pressed, or a very like weird mismatch of things that make sense to the individual. And strangely enough, I wouldn't be able to guess of this alone, but out of this lineup right here, the first few people that would take my eye would be 3 and 4. Reasons like I just said, complete mismatch that may make sense to him in some way, and then you have that sort of cleaner press style, but we haven't even heard the individuals speak yet, so you know, I'm just a bit overexcited. Also, the things that you need to remember with this type of stuff, I always say that intention drives attention, and you can't overlook a lot of things, and you can't look into things too much as well. Otherwise you'll end up doing an injustice and being unable to tell any of them apart, as you'll think that every single one of them for certain reasons makes them a psychopath. So you have to really focus on certain things that is going to differentiate one individual from the entire set here, and that's going to be really interesting throughout.
What? No way!
Good luck to you guys. All right. Rebecca, welcome back. Rebecca is an actual psychologist who's gonna...
Okay, I didn't know that there was going to be a psychologist in this, which is really interesting because now I feel under a lot of pressure. But I obviously don't want to say things before the psychologist does, or vice versa, or just rinse and repeat, so I might just let them take over for a little bit. I am hoping by the end of it though, as weird as it might sound, that maybe we have a slight difference in opinion and see if we can go toe to toe on what it is that we saw between everyone.
Help us know what to look for as we try to find the actual psychopath here. After 5 rounds, if the psychopath is still among them, they lose. And it turns out spotting a psychopath isn't as easy as we might think, which is scarier in some way. Oh, what the Josh, what are you doing, bro? Why is my girlfriend in there?
I don't know, bro. She's kind of sus.
This is scary. She's not a psychopath. There's no way that she's a psychopath.
But on the off chance that she is.
No. Just to be clear, guys, if you're not a psychopath, you need to answer these questions as honestly as possible. However, the psychopath is allowed to lie as much as they want.
Okay, that's actually going to make this a little bit harder if the person who's diagnosed with whatever is allowed to lie, or it might somewhat make it a bit easier, because in all of them you're going to be able to tell throughout that there's going to be a specific standout. That's if the individual decides to lie about absolutely everything. I don't really know how I feel about that one, but...
All right, guys, round 1 starts now. You have 5 minutes.
My name's Ramsey, and I'm not a psychopath because I just don't feel like it.
Yo, what's up, y'all? My name is Akaraj AK. I'm not a psychopath because I just got way too much to do.
This guy can't think of 1 reason why he's not a psychopath, so I'm sus with him already.
My name's Jay. Okay.
That's interesting. The immediate dynamic shift there, but it did look like the psychologist was about to speak, so I should probably let them do that.
We're continuing?
I haven't gone yet.
Oh.
Hi, my name is Eli. I am not a psychopath because just got a clear head on my shoulders.
When Jay started to speak before Eli got to speak, you could see Eli kind of get a look on his face.
I did not notice this.
Money's on Eli.
It is a bit weird though, because one of the things that I noticed, she said about Eli, but I noticed that this Jay character who's sitting down, the dynamic is that the levels are Eli is actually above him, looking down at him. As weird as weird as it may sound, and it seems like Jay didn't back down at all. He actually continued to challenge, and when Eli seemed a bit annoyed, Jay just continued to say, "Well, we still going to go then?" We still like confidently, which is quite interesting. All Eli was realistically doing there was saying it was, I was first there. Interesting. It's just interesting that in the dynamic that Jay, as soon as he was sort of like not realistically challenged, but as soon as he was somewhat spoke to in that way, he just didn't really care about that shift and challenged.
I'm Jay, and I'm not a psychopath because I'm often hired as a public speaker.
That feels like a psychopath job, right?
Yeah.
Because I grew up with great parents.
I'm Hope.
Could Hope be a psychopath?
I'm not a psychopath because I'm just a regular girl next door.
It's a horrible answer. Horrible answer, Hope.
I'm Chris. I'm not a psychopath because I work as a teacher.
I am not a psychopath because I'm not on any medication.
Because I just don't think I am.
I don't think either of these girls are psychopaths. They're too nice and smiley and friendly.
Even if you're on medication, that's not a bad thing.
Because I have other mental illness, but not that one.
Because I spend time around people willingly.
So I'm curious why you were late.
Me?
Yeah. And you walked in from over there and it just kind of threw me
I
off.
was gonna ask that too. Are we just supposed to pretend that she was with us the whole list of stuff?
I just had a couple of things I needed to,
They had her out of the room so that they could surprise me, but now it's causing this giant ripple effect where they think that she's the psychopath.
You want to like tell us what those things were, or it was like personal?
It's personal stuff.
Okay.
All right, time's up. I want each of you guys to step forward and vote on who you think is the psychopath. Now, I did a little bit of research, and it turns out we don't call psychopaths anymore. Is that right?
That's correct. It's ASPD. I feel like the word psychopath gets thrown out a lot and used as derogatory.
I like her. This is exactly what I said at the start of this, which is really interesting.
And this is a personality disorder, and these people are still people. They just happen to have a little glitch in their matrix.
Oh my gosh! Hope.
We got you, you crazy lady.
I find it a bit weird that no one's noticing immediately. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm overlooking it. But Jay's control of the room and the dynamic is so interesting for me immediately.
Bye, guys.
Maybe the two at the end. How long's your average romantic relationship last?
A year and a month.
I've never been in a romantic relationship.
Interesting.
Why is this important?
Because people that have antisocial personality disorder are not able to keep relationships.
I was literally going to say that, but yes. That is true. That is a bit of a key indicator. She's completely correct there. People do really struggle with romantic relationships. Obviously, one of the individuals that's being looked at for a quadruple homicide right now would be Brian Koberger. The individuals in there were 3 females, 1 male. They believe that 2 of the victims from the crime scene were kind of like a bit more of an overkill, or maybe they were potentially something that he saw as witnesses to that night. We don't really know what the events entail that led to him to go downstairs and obviously take out 2 more members inside the house. But from the main indication, the main point that I'm trying to make is that there's been a lot of backlog of information about the individual and his interaction with females and stuff like that. And the crime seems to be heavily orientated around females. And one of the things that people look into would be his background and his relationships, which pretty much at this point seems to be second to none. But that is something that they do.
Question for you guys. Has there ever been a movie that made you cry?
Full on like bawling? No, I don't think so. It definitely brought like tears to my eyes and like had me in my feels. How to Train Your Dragon 3.
Edward's sus, bro.
Moulin Rouge?
I have no idea what that is.
Bambi.
Bambi.
I don't trust her.
King Kong.
King Kong?
Yeah, it's emotional.
Land Before Time.
Everyone's laughing except Eli. Did you see that?
Schindler's List.
That's a weird answer.
It's Annie when I was a little kid, when she's on the fire truck.
Adam Sandler's Click.
What?
All right. He's freaking hilarious, I'll say it. Eli's off my naughty list.
That was maybe the most psychopath answer he could have had.
I cried watching New Year's Eve.
Any childhood Disney movie where they murder all the parents and then the kid grows up, so.
Have you ever been arrested?
I got pulled over for DUI, I blew under, but they still arrested me. I blew a .07. I got a wet and reckless for it coming home from work.
I have not been arrested.
We're asking this question because one of the top traits of a psychopath is somebody who often breaks rules, has no regard for the law.
Yeah, and very impulsive. It doesn't know right and wrong.
I haven't been arrested, but was put in a drunk tank in Whistler, Canada for public intoxication.
This guy just has a good time.
Lots of high school keggers. I've underage drinking all the way.
I have not been arrested.
I have not been arrested either.
Or have not been arrested.
I have not been arrested.
Nope.
All right, time's up. I want each of you guys to...
Interestingly, there only a couple of people said that. Now, you can remember that the individual is allowed to lie, so someone could have just said that they've never been arrested there. because of that fact, you've only got really a couple of people there that you can kind of look into, but again, you don't know who's lying, so for me that is something that a lot of people do look into, but usually sometimes it's obviously dependent on the crime that the individual is being put up for that would obviously entail whether they are or not a psychopath. Again, if we go straight back to the Idaho 4 case, Brian Koberger has not been apprehended for any serious type of crime that we know of so far. It seems to be pulled over for a seatbelt violation. It was some sort of seatbelt violation, but obviously the crime that he's being put up against is completely horrific, with no other real prior other than, like I say, the seatbelt and the potential that he stole his sister's phone early in life. But nothing like assault or anything too off the rails that would suggest that he's got a violent enough history to put him up for the crimes that he's been accused for. Yet, enough evidence would suggest he is the individual. I think what would be more important is if I look at who answers what strategically.
Step forward and tell me who you think is the psychopath. All right, who are you voting for?
I have suspicions about Edward, and I have suspicions about Valerie, and I have suspicions about Eli.
Eli.
It's really interesting that she said that because there's two people in there that I definitely wouldn't agree with. I'd love to know her thoughts as to why. I don't think a Disney movie is going to be the real reason as to why an individual may or may not have mental health issues, but I'm assuming that they, for YouTube, can't ask certain questions. The one that I would say that I'm kind of with her on would be Eli, but then if he's not lying about the public intoxication, it's a pretty specific thing. Sometimes people lie in a very weird way that would be easier to catch them out. The other individual, Jay, said that he got done for a lot of underage drinking, lots of I can't really know what he said, but there are two things here that are quite interesting about these two that have said that. One is that one's a very specific thing, and the other one is that Jay says something that's not very specific at all, which kind of outlines to me that it's hard to tell, is that truthful or is that not? Because it's an immediate, but it could literally be true. He could have been arrested, that's only it. Or he could be lying about what he was arrested for, and he's manipulating it with that. It's just I noticed this weird dynamic of control. It's sort of calmed down a little bit now, but that could be because he feels like in the room he's got it. Obviously, I've not been there for the entire time they filmed this to be able to see what his behaviour was like the entire time.
Look at Eli rubbing his hands together.
Okay, so we tied.
So basically, we don't know.
Edward, I'm gonna give you 1 minute to plead your case on why you're not a psychopath.
Yeah.
We're okay, come up with one reason.
Other than not, but yeah, I don't know.
All right, Eli?
Why am I not a psychopath? Again, I think got a good head on my shoulders, good sense of self, but I'm kind of at a loss as well.
Both of them are so unbelievably sus. All right, Eli and Edward, I want you guys to look down. If you think Edward is the psychopath, raise your hand. And to confirm if you think Eli is the psychopath, raise your hand.
Hell of a journey.
Get him out of there. All right, raise your hand if you guys think you have eliminated the psychopath so far.
Eliminated the psychopath? I don't know, possibly.
So Eli's out of the picture. Rebecca, out of who's left here, what are we thinking?
I feel like I'm leaning towards Edward. He didn't plead his case.
I don't know.
And then the question about relationships.
I've never been in a romantic relationship.
I agree with what she said, but the only thing is though, if someone asked me why am I not a psychopath, if I had enough time, I could probably tell you why I'm not. But if I was on the spot as to someone saying, why are you not a psychopath? I don't know at that point. How are you meant to lie? That's what's interesting is the psychopath realistically would be able to lie at that point about anything. I go to the park with my family, I feed the ducks, I do this, I do that, I go out with the grandkids. You could play a really sympathetic and sweet role. Obviously this Edward guy was just kind of like, I don't know, and he obviously looked up a lot, which would suggest that he was genuinely trying to rack his brain to think of something, but under the pressure, just couldn't.
Just suspect, for sure.
All right, guys, we're moving on to round 3. Someone can start with a question if they want.
So let's say I came to you guys, right? And I was crying about my boyfriend breaking up with me. How would you guys help me?
Having a sister, I would jump right in and say my answer is French fries and ice cream.
What kind of ice cream?
You're the one crying.
I'm gonna tell you, like, honestly, like, you're better than him the whole time anyways.
I feel like Valerie just turned this entire thing into a dating show.
Hey, it's Friday night.
I always do look at a person when they speak to a lot of people. One of the things that I notice about Jay is a lot of the time when he's addressing a certain thing, he'll really look at a person, and I'm trying to figure out whether he's trying to see if they're believing his lie or not. I'm just wondering. I gotta figure it out. I do obviously on the side here. I do have my notes. Every time it probably cut, it's when I'm putting down my notes so that I can see what it is that I've written down. Not a lot of other people have spoken enough to be able to really get like a good enough idea here.
Girls gotta get what girls gotta get.
She's gonna get. what she's got to get.
Let you talk and get it out and vent and all that.
I would say the same thing, Valerie. Like, I'm a really good listener, so just do whatever you want. Either to listen.
Ryan is a psycho, bro.
My money's on Edward.
I have 2 questions for Tommy. You said you're in a relationship for a year. Why did y'all split up?
Okay, well, I was really sick at the time, and then he also lived across the country, like was traveling back and forth.
The second one was, when we all said we're not psychopaths, you said you have other illnesses. Do you want to like say what those are?
An eating disorder.
Oh, that was the one?
But I'm in recovery. I have a question. But what's everybody's zodiac sign?
Zodiac sign. Okay.
There's no science backing any of that.
I'm a Leo.
I don't care.
I'm a Cancer, but I just wanted to know.
Gemini is the one I'm going to look for. Okay, no Gemini. That's great. That really helps me.
Wondering if everybody has pets.
I have 2 dogs. Their names are Snowbird and Mimi, Husky and Rottweiler.
Did you forget his dog's name?
Yes.
That's suspect.
Ryan's psycho.
Yeah.
He just made that up. He doesn't have dogs.
Yes.
I don't, but I volunteer with dog rescue.
Gnarly and
Did you say that he volunteers with rescue?
I can't.
He said I don't, but I volunteer with dog shelters, and he was he's staring directly at people as he's trying to say it. I'm not like suggesting he doesn't, but like obviously he's been sat down like the entire time and he has a cane. But one of the things I'm trying to suggest is it looks like obviously he has difficulties with walking, which means that surely it'd be troubling for him to be volunteering at dog shelter. Not to say that he doesn't volunteer elsewhere, but obviously with rescue dogs and etc. it could be quite difficult. I don't know, it just seems like a bit of a weird answer. The question was sort of, do you have pets or do you like pets? The answer is like yes or no, which is what a lot of them are giving. And sometimes you give unnecessary details when you're lying. So, because obviously he says, I don't, but I do rescue. So it's like, I don't have a pet, don't view me as a psycho, but I do this, which doesn't make me psychotic. Like, it's an unnecessary detail in there for me. Whereas everyone else is like, yes or no.
I have pets at my place, unfortunately.
Have in the past, don't currently, don't particularly want them.
And he's acting like a psycho.
There's like someone else controlling the ship in his brain.
Did you say someone's in your brain?
No, I said someone was in Ryan's brain. No, I didn't say that.
I just want to say Jay is the person I least expect.
Ryan.
What if Jay's been throwing us off this whole time?
I feel like that was a psycho move.
I'm gonna get every single vote. You just made me vote for me by saying.
Unless you're a phenomenal actor.
See, that's the worry there. That is literally the worry there, is that it's called hidden in plain sight. For me, with what I'm looking at, it's like when Dwight Schrute in The Office says, who do you most medium suspect? Personally, I think it'd be super interesting if it was him. He's the only person that's spoken kind of enough to be able to give, in my perception, are you lying or are you not? You don't need to give unnecessary details. But some other individuals also do that, which is quite interesting too. The other guy that I had my suspicion on was Eli, and he's already been voted out. He potentially could have been the psychopath, and it might be harder because there isn't one there to be able to evaluate. But out of all the people so far, I don't really know. If I had to go off anyone, I'd go with Jay right now. Or potentially like a 5%er would be Tommy. I think that could be from the way that she's answered a few things.
All right, time's up. We've gone through 3 rounds of voting. They have absolutely no idea who the psychopath is. All right, so we got a tie between Rose and Edward. If you think Rose is the psychopath, raise your hand. And if you think Edward is the psychopath, please raise your hand.
Oh, wow.
Edward's done.
Wow.
Later.
Guys, tell me about your elimination process on Edward. That was a pretty unanimous vote.
I just didn't think it was Rose.
It just seems so.
This is what's a bit weird here. When I said about Jay, when I felt like he was being truthful then, he just said, I just didn't think it was Rose. You didn't look at anyone. Didn't need to look at anyone because he's not looking for acceptance in that point, whether he's lying or not. Again though, it's a lot harder than it's looking.
I don't think it's Edward or Rose.
You feel like you've already eliminated the psychopath?
I think they're still here with us, amongst us. I feel like I know who it is.
Same.
What? Then why wouldn't you vote them out?
I know it's not Jay.
I question everybody.
Ryan just keeps throwing Jay out. It is actually really hard to tell who's not being transparent out there. All right, we're gonna go on to round 4. I would love to start with a question on this one. What is your relationship like with your parents?
So I'm a daddy's girl. I love my dad so much. My mom's my best friend. I tell her everything.
Me and my mom are cool, and then me and my dad were really rough, but now I'm like seeing like how solid he is.
I live 2 doors down from my mom, so I see her every day. I talk to my dad like a couple times a week on FaceTime.
My mom is my bestie. We get along very well. My dad and I, he's just like, we'll talk on occasion, but we're not super, super close.
We did have our little rough patch when I decided that I didn't want to be cookie cutter.
She just didn't want to be cookie cutter.
I'm a huge mama's boy. I talk to her at least 3 times a week. We watch the Oscars together.
Details. There's a lot of details.
She's a mean old South Side chick from Chicago.
My parents live in Jersey, where I'm originally from, so talk to them a lot. We Zoom like once a week. Yeah, we've always had a pretty good relationship.
I would say I have a great relationship with my parents. Come to California from Hong Kong, and I love them very much.
Guys,
What do you feel about
I don't think
this?
Ryan is a psychopath. I think he's just more reserved than the rest of the bunch.
Ryan?
Yes.
Have you ever seen like a therapist or a psychologist?
No.
Never?
Never. Why?
I was just curious.
He's wearing his suspicion on his sleeve right now.
So I also wanted to ask Rose and Tommy the same thing.
Yes.
I'm in therapy.
I just don't know. I'm so clueless.
I'm curious actually, like if everyone is currently in therapy or has ever been to therapy, because I am in it and have been.
No,
I never have.
never.
Can I ask why just us 3 though?
All right, time's up. I want each of you guys
Oh, I really wanted Jay to give an answer.
to step forward and tell me who you think is the psychopath.
Rebecca, I heard a rumor that if you don't check the toilet paper after you wipe, it's a psychopath tendency. Thoughts?
My grad school training did not go over that.
There he goes, dude.
Bye, Ryan. Bye. All right, so now everybody that I personally sussed out as a psycho is gone, except for Rose. But now I'm kind of thinking Akaraj may be the guy. All right, we're moving into round 5, the final round. And I'm gonna leave the floor open to you guys for the next 5 minutes.
Can I ask something? Can we just do like a rapid fire, like yes or no? We'll start, Tommy. Have you lied today?
No.
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 Never lied.
No.
I have not. I have not.
How trustworthy do you think you are as a person? You said you don't trust anybody.
Unfortunately, I have gone through many situations in life where I was too trusting.
And everyone else?
I trust everybody. I'm cool with everybody.
I'm mostly trusting.
Yeah, I would say mostly trusting. I think especially like friends and things like that, it's pretty open.
I kind of have like some trust issues, but for the most part, like I think that everyone like can do no wrong.
Well, I'll be the honest one and say I trust nobody.
If you could choose to like hang out with like a group of friends or hang out by yourself, what would you choose?
Friends.
One person.
Close friends.
Mostly friends, but every once in a while I do need my alone time to like recharge my batteries, so.
Same, 50-50.
I like a group.
You're thriving. We can tell. You thrive.
And you?
Yeah, I think balance of both. Like sometimes I like to go see a movie by myself, just take a little bit of time, but I like hanging out in a group.
All right, time's up. This is your last chance to vote out who you think
Voted for himself.
the psychopath is.
Jay got that one.
They all voted for Jay.
Okay, that's a super interesting dynamic there. Out of everyone so far, the only real plays that I've had would have been Eli, Jay, and then potentially maybe Tommy, but the individuals are allowed to lie. It's just that out of everyone, the only person that I could have seen so far, because of the fact they've been able to stay for so long, would have been Jay. There's just unnecessary details on there, but that can be from like an interrogation standpoint. One of the things I did notice was that he said immediately that he liked the group environment, but when Airrack's girlfriend joined the participation, he was very uncomfortable that someone walked in. He did not like that at all. But nonetheless, pretty interesting. Let's see.
Why Jay?
It all just sounded so good, and I'm sure he's a wonderful person, but it could all have been bullshit, so.
When I spoke to him and I asked him how he would take care of me, it kind of gave me flashbacks of like an ex. Probably had like some narcissistic things.
It's time for the final reveal. Oh my, I'm too excited.
Oh wait, so they're just gonna say who it is. So wait, shall I just... Oh, Christ, let me just pause.
Should we hold hands?
Jesus Christ.
Will the
This is a
psycho...
line. Okay. Okay, this entire lineup. Okay, it's really interesting because at the picture I've got, every single person is looking forward and Jay is looking down. Yeah, I'm sticking with my guns. I'm going with my gut from the start. I'm going with it's going to be Jay or it's going to be Eli. If I've got to give it a major percentage right now, I'd go with about 70% Jay, 30% Eli, because I got to see more of Jay. Doesn't mean that if I got to see Eli, the percentages wouldn't have been any higher or differentiated, but from what I'm seeing here, Out of everyone that I've got, which is not too much so far, if you had to ask me honestly, I'd say out of everything that I saw, I'd probably have to go with it being Jay at this point.
The person diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. Please step forward.
No, I'll stay here. The most fun part was if I didn't vote for myself in the last round, it would have been a tie, and I could have talked my way out of that too.
I am blown away.
Jay, how much of what you said today was a lie?
Every single thing.
Jay, when were you diagnosed?
20 years ago. I was getting arrested too often, not for underage drinking. They put me on Zoloft and made my stomach upset, and then I just thought every shrink I met was an asshole just trying to sell me pills, so I don't do anything of them.
Jay, I have a question. What was life like after you were diagnosed? Did it change at all for you?
No, just getting old does. You don't change the way you think. If you know something's wrong and you want to fix it, go find someone to fix it.
Wow, so can you see the difference in how he was compared to how he was the whole time? When he was being truthful, he didn't really like to look at a lot of people. He sort of looked down a lot of the time. His expression was pretty numb. But when he was lying throughout that whole process, he spent a lot of his time looking at the other individuals and giving out unnecessary details. And he became the sympathetic sweetheart of the group pretty quickly. And he managed to establish himself, and he managed to establish that kind of ground pretty quickly within that group. That was a super interesting one. I'd like to be able to do more like that. Definitely 100%. But obviously it's really, really hard to find a group of people that want to confess to being a psychopath, I guess. So that was super fun though. I really enjoyed that one. If you did manage to stay all the way until the end, then I really appreciate it. Drop a like, follow, subscribe. But yeah, just thank you for your time, and I hope you have a nice day. Appreciate it.